Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Montreal-based singer and songwriter Roxane Reddy on her debut 2023 album called Jaywalking. After years in the making, she presents an intense and velvety opus with a major focus on vocals representing the view we have on life after overcoming depression. In a brilliant mix of jazz, progressive rock, French song, and Disney-like songwriting, the 8-piece album charms and confronts, moves, and mobilizes, but most of all, it brings the listener on a journey where the answer to all challenges is authenticity. We cover the album, live shows, life in the post-pandemic era, and so much more. Enjoy.
Let's get into your brand new album, Jaywalking. It's your debut album. How does it feel?
I'm very excited. It's the first album I'm releasing alone. Since, I've worked with other bands before, and it's a whole new experience.
So what made you go out on your own? I know there's a lot of artists that are in collectives, but ultimately what made you say, this is time, I'm going to step out under my own name?
Well, actually, I started that way. I started doing my own music in my name and stuff, and then collectives and groups, I've started to, work with musicians and wanted to work in groups. And it's actually during, when I ended my school, when I had my undergrad studies done, I was like, you know what, this music is great and I don't want it to just, be forgotten and stuff. So I just decided to take this project and give it a second life.
So, the one thing that I've noticed, especially since the pandemic, is that jazz is kind of entered into a phase of there's levels of electronica, there's levels of maybe what people would call indie music. There's a lot of different elements that are getting into what we would all call and consider traditional jazz, making it more of a modern thing. Talk to me a little bit about the elements and sounds that went into this mix to make Jaywalking.
I do not use electronic instruments myself. Well, I've started to, but it's not so much my field of expertise. And actually, I started to work with a producer called Charles David Dubé. He's one of my friends, because I was a bit in a loophole with my project. I didn't really know how to get it done. I was making, I was getting the band together and we were practicing, and I was just not totally happy with the results. Like, I thought it sounded great, but it was not exactly it, and I didn't know how to get there. And I spoke to him about it, and he's a big jazz fan, although he's making more electronic music nowadays. And he really enjoyed the project, so we started working together, and he's the one who introduced all of the electronic elements to the music. So he really likes to play with samplers and stuff like that. So that's what we use in the introduction of the album. But he plays a lot with the sounds on many pieces. Although sometimes he wanted it to be more natural, and I was like, no, I want your sound on those songs. So yeah, it's a collaboration.
Interesting. So what is the meaning behind Jaywalking?
Well, jaywalking, it means crossing the street, not at the intersection. I think as a musician, I've crossed many lines in many genres. I'm not very, I don't like to be held in one style and not being able to be beyond their limits, So for me, jaywalking is just a way to say that it's like all the limits become liquid, I just cross them whenever I want. And I say it's jazz music since there is a lot of improvisation, and the harmony is jazz, and the musicians, they're amazing. And, I think the whole style is mainly jazz, but it definitely touches a lot of other things. And so it's just a way for me to say, this is me. Well, still in a stylistic way, it's me crossing all of those limits, but it's also like all the texts, they're about my younger years, even though I'm still young. But and it's about, thinking about this time and going back there and then coming back, and it's a lot of like movement between two opposites.
The one thing about albums coming out now is that we're obviously entering a different era, almost a post-pandemic era of life. Mm-hmm. How does this album coming out now, the warmer months are coming, prospects of live shows, how does all of that feel?
I think this is an album for maybe colder temperatures since it's very nostalgic. But I've decided to release it now in April. Mostly because I just didn't want it to feel rushed, and with the timing and stuff, that's what had to happen. But I'm very excited actually to release it now because it's got like a new color to it with all the. It's like, sometimes you like to listen to nostalgic music when it's cold outside and stuff, but sometimes it's also nice. It creates like an edge, I would say, to release it now in the hotter months. And also, I'll be flying to Jazz Ahead in Germany 2 days after the release. So it's kind of it's great for me. It's like a great way to show my newly released music to new people.
So what are you ultimately hoping the listener gets from this debut? I mean, it's a big deal. A debut is like your initial shout into the jazz world, music world. What are you hoping they get from this album?
It's a big step for me in my community since I've been more of an performer in the jazz community. So it's very humbling to be part of the people who bring new music to in this world. So I think, this is to me something of a presentation of who I am. Of course, it's a project and stuff, but it's different than any projects I've been part of. Since, of course, it's an exaggeration of my personality, but it's still very personal. So I think it's just a nice presentation of who I am, what I can do, and I hope people will actually listen to it and like the music, but I hope people will get to know me better and hopefully want to work with me, and it's a way for me to expand my relationships with other musicians.
So if anyone out there wants to pick up the brand new album Jaywalking, find out anything about live shows, anything about your world, Roxane, where do they go? Where's the best place to go?
Well, I have a website. It's under construction for the English part of it, but it's www.roxanereddy.com. So it's pretty simple, Roxane with only one N. And so I think that's where most of the information will be.
Roxane, thank you for reaching out about the album. It's great to catch back up with you. Good luck with it. Good luck with the live shows. Everything is the future rolls out.
Well, thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview. We give you a bit of insight into the finest singers in Montreal, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Roxane for her time, energy, and story. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to theneonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.